far end will lead.
Yeah.
Yep. The far end normally leads.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, you ready? Yeah.
So I think
Everyone.
Some ladies to come, ladies or whoever to come and collect all these.
Ready? So just lift.
All right.
Lift.
Okay, it's okay.
Right. Yeah, just keep your hand underneath as well.
Yeah.
no, because here no low.
Avid speed ke vaangale varamaatiga frame ku
Everyone's okay, yeah?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think people will go.
Otherwise you might trip.
Just take it.
No. Just walk. Feet on this side.
Which side, boss?
Feet on this side.
Where is feet?
Yeah, that's right. We'll turn it around. Can we get no, come up here first. Yeah. You do this way.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's right. Yeah. Are we gonna open?
Yes, please.
Can you straight up a bit? It's not fully straight up. That's okay. That's okay. Hold on. Give me a second. Give me a second. South is that way.
So head is already here on the other side. Yeah, so that's fine.
Okay, that's fine.
South
South
is exactly. Yes, so you're right. Oh,
Yeah, please. Just half a turn and then one straight out. I took the middle ones out already.
Yeah, good stuff. You want me to get it? I'll get it. You're ready.
Lakshman. Somehow, would you be able to find Sharjah port and charge this? Someone would know. We have some power outlets here, but I don't know where.
What number I am?
Dear family and friends, we will now have a few speeches delivered by loved ones of Mr. Ponnampalam, known to both Cynthia and I as Mama. Mama was well known by the Canberra community through his contribution and strong presence in many community groups. He was also a loving son, brother, husband, father, grandfather, father-in-law, uncle, son-in-law, and overall pillar of wisdom and strength to those surrounding him. First, we'll have Mr. Kodas, a family friend, to share a few words on behalf of the Canberra side group.
Saira, friends, loved ones, and family. It's an honor and privilege to pay tribute today to a great man, Brother Ponna. He was remarkable and great in so many ways. He lived his life to the full and touched so many people during his time here with us. We all have a kaleidoscopic of memories that we will always carry with us. Memories that define Brother Ponna, memories that we will always hold dear. Allow me to share some of the special memories that I have of Brother Ponna, memories that personify him and his life well lived. As I look through the kaleidoscope of his life, I see the many valued and meaningful roles that Brother Ponna played. Firstly and foremost, I see Brother Ponna, the family man. He lived according to the Tirukural. Ilvalvan enban, Yelpudeya Moovarkum, Nattatril Nindra Thunai. He loved his family unequivocally and selflessly. He was a devoted husband for Sister Kanakambihai, a devoted father of Brinda, Nilanti, and Dilani, devoted son, devoted grandfather, uncle, brother, brother-in-law. He took all of those roles to heart and he strove to honor, support, guide, and most importantly, loved his family. He was at his happiest when he was surrounded by his family. His devotion to his family was the foundation of his actions, the anchor that defined and shaped his life. As the kaleidoscope turns, I see Brother Ponna as a friend. Muhamaha natpadu natpandru nenjattu aham aga natpadu natpu. Heart-to-heart friendship. That was the hallmark of Ponna. He was a great friend in so many. My family and I were very fortunate to be one of them. We could count on and depend on him always. whether we needed sound counsel, an empathetic ear, a shoulder to lean on, compassionable silence, a spiritual uplift, or an inspirational exemplar. He was our man. Ready, steadfast, willing, and good fun. As I think about our Sai family, I see many, many friends, and I know they too will miss him and his friendship and love that Brother Ponna brought into our lives. The kaleidoscope turns again, and I see Brother Ponna, a people leader and the champion of others. He lived a principled life, underpinned by a strong sense of right and wrong. Brother Ponna was never a man to step back from a challenge. Ponna was a great people leader with the ability to invoke capabilities of others purely through genuine heart-to-heart connection without any formal authority. Who can forget the 1998 Sai National Conference in ACT, in which Ponna played a lead role in harnessing our individual abilities to deliver a very successful conference. Brother Ponna continued to touch many others, and as we look through the memories of his life, we see Ponna as a respected colleague. He shared his expertise with all his colleagues. He worked hard and consistently, and he remained a student of life. He never stopped learning. He never sat back and became complacent. He led by example, and he mentored many youngsters. Ponna was a role model and an inspirational in so many, and I am one of them. Australian government recognized him in 2015 with the Order of Australia Award, a public service medal for outstanding public service in the area of patent examination. The kaleidoscopic of his life keeps moving, and we came face to face with a true Sai devotee, and who immersed himself during devotional singing. He loved bhajans, loved satsang, and loved and contributed a lot to the Sai Center in ACT. He openly shared his spiritual experience with me many times. It is impossible to pay tribute to Ponna without recognizing the important role that spirituality played in his life. As we have traveled today through some of the wonderful memories in Brother Ponna's life, we come to realize that his firm faith in Swami guided his actions, words, and deeds. He strove always to be the best he could be. Family man, colleague, friend, and champion to others, he left a strong legacy in the ACT Sai community. It's very hard to say goodbye, and we don't want to, but we need to remember that he touched so many people's lives so positively. He leaves an amazing legacy behind. Brother Ponna left the world a better place than when he found, and of that we are always grateful. Ponna, we miss you, but we remember you fondly. Always. Silent.
We will now have Ravi Uncle, who was Mama's nephew.
Thank you all for coming today to say goodbye to my beloved uncle. I'm Ponnampalam's nephew, Sridharan, his elder sister's son. The phrase heart of gold was meant for my uncle because he truly had one. He was always lending an ear
offering help and giving advice to his family and friends. Mr. Ponnampalam, also known as Ponna to many and Ponnam to his work colleague, was born on 2nd of January 1940 and was the precious child of Saravanamuthu and Selamma, who are from Alvai and Almatwal. He was the only son and he had 3 elder sisters. The oldest, my mother, named Tavamani, who lives in London now. Next, Navamani, who passed away only 6 months ago, which was for my uncle, it was a great loss. Then the third one is Manonmani, who lives in Melbourne. His early childhood was spent in the hill country of Sri Lanka, where his father was managing a tea estate. At the tender age of 7, he lost his father, and the family had to relocate to a village called Almatwal, which is a small village in Jaffna. Here, from a comfortable life with everything done for them, he had to move to a small village where no facility, no electricity, nothing. He was living there for 2 years. Then his father's younger brother, Mr. Kumaraswamy, took him under his wing because he did not want the little boy spoiled by his doting mother and sisters. Ponnampalam, now in Colombo, started his education at Colombo Zaira College. His uncle and aunt inspired him and shaped his early years. My uncle considered them as his parents. He did well academically at school, and also he excelled in sports. He played rugby for the Zaira College team, and he was an important member of that rugby team. After finishing school, he did his Bachelor's of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering and continued to pursue his love of sports at the university. He played for the university rugby team. His interest was not limited to sports, but it extended to politics in university. He was the president of the LSSP, which is Lanka Samajamaja Party student union in the university. This is a leftist party there. His first job after finishing university, his first job was in the Department of Irrigation. Later on, he joined River Valleys Development Board, which is RVDB, as an assistant general manager. While in RVDB, in 1970, as a Colombo Plan scholar, he did postgraduate studies in the UK. After finishing these postgraduate studies in 1992, he joined the Department of Machinery Equipment as a regional works manager and worked there for nearly 5 years. In 1973, he married Kanakambigai, my mommy, and lived in Colombo at the beginning. In 1974, Mama and Mommy were blessed with their first daughter, Brinda. In 1976, he secured employment as chief engineer with a major Nigerian construction company called Nigerian Construction Consortium Limited. He was posted in Enugu and was in charge of water supply, irrigation, and highways construction project for that company. In 1980, he moved to Ondo State as workshop manager, managing the state government's forestation project. In 1980, Mama and Mami were blessed with twin daughters, Nilanthi and Dilani. In 1985, he was promoted by the Nigerian federal government as an engineering advisor with the Department of Forestry, overseeing World Bank and African Development Bank funded reforestation projects. In 1994, he migrated to Australia and chose to live in Canberra as Mami's brothers were living here. In 1996, he joined the Australian Federal Government Patent Office, which is now known as Intellectual Property Australia, or IP Australia, as a patent examiner. And he worked there for over 21 years. At work, he did much more than what was expected of him. He earned the respect of his superiors, peers, and juniors. I know I'm repeating this, but it's worth repeating. His hard work rewarded when the Australian government awarded Public Service Medal in 2015. He was also awarded IP Australia Service Award in appreciation of his exemplary contribution to IP Australia. I'm sure his colleagues will say more about those things. Mami was a quiet achiever in the family. She fully supported everything, each and everything Mama did. She stood behind him, encouraged him, and made him achieve more than what he would have normally. The marriage of his daughters gave immense pleasure to Mama and Mami. They are blessed to have Krishna, Satish, and Sundar as their son-in-laws. They treated them like their sons. In return, they treated them as their parents. The grandchildren Sahana, Leela, Vasant's arrival gave them greatest joy. Mama was close to his brother-in-laws, especially Ganeshanandam and Ganesh Raja, who are living in Canberra, obviously, so they are close by. My uncle was 77 when he departed. It is worth mentioning that he went to work the day before he passed away. He treated everybody with respect and genuinely cared for them irrespective of their position or rank. This earned him their love and respect. For my uncle, loyalty and friendship were very important. He had friends lasting over 40 years. His outgoing nature and friendly manner earned him a wide circle of friends and admirers. Not only his work, but his family was also important to him. He took great care of not only his nuclear family, but also his extended family around the globe. All of his nephews and nieces were very dear to him, and he treated us like his own children. He was a devout Sai devotee and actively participated and organized bhajans and other activities with Sai groups. He was involved with Canberra Tamil Association, Canberra Tamil Senior Citizens Association, and was their current vice president. I'd just like to add a personal reflection. For especially me, being his elder sister's son, he was close to my mother. He looked up because he looked her up like a mother. What I am today is because of Mama. Because I finished my A-level and didn't do well to get into Sri Lanka University. So I was just going to get a clerical job and work as a clerical officer somewhere. But my uncle talked to my mother, said, why don't you send him to England for further studies? But the difficult job was convincing my father, because on those days, people from Jaffna didn't want their children going to England or overseas because they never come back. So Mama had to do the tough job, convincing my father. Then I went there and I became a mechanical engineer like him. So that's my reflection on him. About what I am today is because of him. He left a deep impression on all who came in contact with him. Your memory is our greatest treasure to have and hold in our hearts forever. You are our role model. May you find eternal peace. Thank you.
We will now have Mr. Samara Vikrama, Mama's batchmate.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Distinguished guests, members of Mr. Ponnampalam family, ladies and gentlemen. It is with a deep sense of sorrow and profound sense of loss here today, and to address a few words on behalf of the 1963 engineering batch from the University of Ceylon. I am thankful to Mr. Ponnampalam's family to have given me this opportunity. Mr. Ponnampalam was always addressed as Ponna by all who were close to him, and that to be all of us in the engineering faculty. Let me summarize some of the milestones in his professional career. You please bear with me that some of this data may be a repetition of his biography, which my predecessors would have already spoken. Ponna entered the Faculty of Engineering from Sahira College in Colombo. Yet within a short time in the faculty, he became friendly with all the students regardless of where they came from school deep in the north and south. Ponna always showed an interest in the welfare of fellow students. In the second year of the faculty, he was so popular that he was elected the president of the Engineering Students Union, and he played an important role representing our faculty in the Inter-University Students Federation. Ponna's concern about well-being of fellow students in the faculty later after graduation as a mechanical engineer was very genuine. He was both as a student in the faculty and after graduation as a mechanical engineer, an extremely pleasant person and spend time with him. He had a broad smile in his and a great laugh with which he would ease anybody's problems. I personally had the opportunity to be close to him, living under the same roof as young engineers in the Colombo. He was composed, cool-headed, warm-hearted, and hardly showed any anger. Ponna was very friendly and helpful to all the persons. Soon after the university, he joined the Department of Irrigation and served in several parts of Sri Lanka. Subsequently, he took up overseas jobs in UK and other countries. In Nigeria, he was engaged as a consultant in the World Bank funded development projects. On migrating to Australia, he joined the Public Service Canberra as a patent examiner, IPA. He continued his career for 22 years until his final moments. According to his colleagues, he was the first person at IPA Australia to be awarded the Public Service Medal in 2015. I'm sure my predecessors have given more credit and more details on this achievement. Ponna was one of a handful of engineers from our batch who were in active service until his final moments. Coincidentally, these days I happened to be on a visit to Canberra, staying not far from his residence. It is almost a week before this tragic day that we spoke to each other over the phone, and he wanted to have a longer chat later on. I am extremely disturbed and sorry about this, whatever the tragic event. I have been inundated with emails from all our batchmates expressing their disbelief at the news of his demise and requesting that their condolences be conveyed to the family. When you say our batch, almost half a century ago, in 1963, it was only 60 people from the whole country who were selected for the engineering. So Ponna and I, there's one more colleague, Mr. Kudas, in the audience, we are privileged to be one of them, not as to be proud of, but as an achievement. Once again, on behalf of the engineering batch in 1963, I extend our deepest sympathies. Last but not least, my profound thanks to my batchmate Mr. Kugadashan and his brother-in-law Mr. Ponnampalam, who are here in the audience. They extended me their maximum support both logistically and morally. Finally, no words can wipe away the loss of a dear one. Only time can ease the pain. We all hope that the family will have the strength to bear with this pain till then. May he attain the supreme bliss of happiness. Thank you.
We will now have Mr. George Vukovic, the General Manager for the Patents, Mechanical and Oppositions Group, who will speak on behalf of IP Australia, Mama's Workplace.
I feel very honoured to have been asked to speak about Ponnam's career and his work at IP Australia. The value of a man should be seen in what he gives and not what he receives. And Ponnam was a man who gave to his family, to his friends, and also to his workplace. He was highly regarded and well respected and was considered to be an outstanding patent examiner by his colleagues at IP Australia. A measure of that fact is the large number of Ponnam's work colleagues that I see here today. Ponnam joined IP Australia in 1996 and worked in a number of mechanical engineering sections over the last 21 years. He was an early starter, and along with his fellow examiners and friends David Lee and Ron Webber, who have joined us here today, sat together for many years on South 4 of Discovery House. And they were well known as the Three Musketeers. Ponnam loved his work and often said that he wanted to keep working as long as he could. He was a hard worker, but he also took time to socialise with his many friends and to take his daily walk at lunchtime. Ponnam was a caring husband, a loving father and grandfather, and many at work remember the pride with which he spoke of his family, and in particular his daughters and granddaughters. As we've heard, in 2015, Ponnam's extraordinary talent and dedication to IP Australia and patent examination were recognised by a Public Service Medal. An award only given to those who consistently perform at a high standard and have made a major contribution to the Australian community. When I spoke to him about it, he seemed a bit surprised and couldn't understand what all the fuss was about. In his mind, he was just doing a job that he loved. And that's the type of man that he was. Quietly spoken, humble, and didn't think he was doing anything special. Ponham will be greatly missed by his many friends at IP Australia and all of those who were lucky enough to have known him.
The next speaker will be Naveen, Mama's grandnephew.
For us, Mama is infinite. His body might be gone, but he has taken another form. We have felt him all of the years we have known him, and this will continue. My family hold Mama in the highest regard, and as an uncle, Mama, brother, and man. From my earliest memories in this life, Mama, Mami, Bindaka, Diloka, and Niloka were there. This is in London, Hounslow. The videos from our childhood, I'm going to turn this off, I'm not good at reading speeches. Yeah, the earliest memories of childhood are with you all, and the videos that we have. Mama's infamous laugh. He'll sit there and the children will just naturally gravitate towards him. I don't know what it is. There's just an energy that he has, and everyone will have. I think the speaker before said it had an energy that just made people feel at ease. I know my brother, who got married a couple of years ago, he said that Mama's presence was a really critical component to him feeling calm on the day. He's really sorry to not be here to pay his respects. He's also in London. And Amama, early this year, with the loss of Asya Mama, said that the words from Mama to comfort her, that she no longer was suffering, was really important as part of her understanding of the situation and to find peace out of that loss. My view is, which may or may not be right, but I don't believe in death. I believe that people live on through their legacy and like everyone who's here, everyone that person has touched or has affected, and so he isn't gone. His body might be gone, but he will live on through us and through the promises that we've made to be better people, to achieve great things, etc. And so that's certainly what I'll continue to do, and I'm sure everyone here would also do the same. So thank you.
So as we know, Mama has 3 grandchildren, Leela, Sahana and Vasant, and from those who have spent time around them would know and see in his eyes how much he loved them. And I'll just quickly share a quick story before they come up. You can tell how much Mama loved them because if you went to his home, you would see him sitting in his spot on the couch watching his TV, and you'd know, okay, this is Mama's time to watch TV. No one was allowed to change the channel. Recently, in recent times, Brindaka and her 2 children, Sahana and Vasant, were living there. And Vasanth was actually the only one that that has ever gotten Mama to change the channel or let him watch his own cartoons and TV show. So I'll ask Sahana and Leela to come up and say a few words.
Good afternoon. My name is Leela, and my name is Sahana. Today we're going to talk about how we feel about Amapa. Amapa had a smile. Amapa always had a smile when he saw me. He saw me and Sahana and gave us big hugs. He would always go out and buy yummy things for me, Vasant and Leela. Amapa, we will miss you coming to Sydney, spending the time with us, and giving me money and Sahana money so I can get jealous. Amapa, we are family and families stick together. We will miss you very much, but happy you don't have to go to hospital anymore. We love you, Amapa. Do you want to say something? I miss you, Amapa. We miss you, Amapa.
The next speaker will be Mr. Uradhiran, President of the Canberra Tamil Senior Citizens Association.
Canberra தமிழ் முதியோர் சங்கத்தின் சார்பில் சில வார்த்தைகள். எங்களுடைய சங்கத்திலே திரு பொன்னம்பலம் அவர்கள் நீண்ட காலமாக அங்கத்தவராக இருந்திருக்கிறார். பல முறைகள் உபதலைவராகவும் இருந்திருக்கிறார். இந்த வருடமும் ஏகமனதாக உபதலைவராக தெரிவு செய்யப்பட்டார். அவர் திடீரென மறைந்தது எங்களுக்கு ஒரு பெரிய இழப்பாக இருக்கிறது. அவருடைய படிப்பறிவு, அவருடைய அனுபவம், அவருடைய நிர்வாகத் திறமை இவையெல்லாம் எங்களுக்கு பெரிய வழிகாட்டிகளாக இருந்தது. இப்போ அவர் இல்லாத பொழுது நாங்கள் அந்த இடத்தை எப்படி நிரப்பப் போகிறோம் என்றே தெரியாமல் இருக்கிறது. அதில் பெரிய வெற்றிடத்தை விட்டுவிட்டு சென்று விட்டார். ஒரு வேக்யூமை விட்டுவிட்டு சென்று விட்டார். அவருடைய இடத்துக்கு நாங்கள் என்ன செய்ய போகிறோம் என்கிறத எங்களாலேயே தீர்மானிக்க முடியாமல் இருக்கிறது. அவருடைய திறமையின் காரணமாகத்தான் அவருக்கு அரசாங்கம் ஒரு விருது கொடுத்தது. அவருக்கு கிடைத்த விருதை எங்களுடைய சங்கமும் மிகவும் பெருமையாக கொண்டாடியது. அவருடைய அறிவும் வழிகாட்டலும் எங்களுடைய சங்கத்துக்கு எப்பொழுதும் பெரிய உதவியாக இருந்தது. இப்போ அவர் மறந்துவிட்டதாலே அது எங்களுக்கு ஒரு பெரிய மாபெரும் இழப்பாக நாங்கள் கருதுகிறோம். அவருடைய ஆத்மா சாந்தி அடையவும் அவருடைய குடும்பத்தினர் மன ஆறுதல் பெறவும் எங்களுடைய சங்கத்தின் சார்பில் பிரார்த்திக்கிறேன். நன்றி.
We will now have Harananna, Mama's nephew.
So my mom, youngest sister in the family, will give a talk and I'll carry on after that.
I am the sister from Melbourne. We were 4 and now there are only 2 of us. We lost one of our sisters in March this year. Now our Chella Thambi has also gone. Death is the rule of nature, but it always comes as a shock. Our brother was the gentle giant of our family. Though he was in his 70s, to us he was our little brother always. And he always afforded us the love and respect of a younger brother. He never ever talked back to us. He cared deeply about our welfare and spoke daily to our Akka in the UK. Our Akka in the UK is 90 years old and she is the firstborn in our family. Thambi was the center pillar of our families spread all over the world. Our children felt their mama was always there for them. There's one incident I want to relate. At his youngest daughter's wedding, he was giving a thank you speech. He did not mention his nieces and nephews who had come from far and wide weeks before to help with the wedding. When I asked him about it, he said, "Akka, it will be like thanking myself." This sums up my brother. I would like to mention another incident. When he got this public service award, and when I spoke to him, he said that it was possible only because of his wife, and the credit should go to her. Thank you, Kanaha, for looking after our brother so well. Now I want to read a message sent to me by my older sister from UK. I read, "It means so much to send a caring and thoughtful message to my loving Thambi. Together on life's journey, you and I have traveled, sharing all the joys of life and sharing lots of happy times and also tears. Always listening to each other, no matter where life led us. Dear Thambi, it was a joy to travel down the road of life with you. It was a blessing to have a brother like you. Thambi, we are blessed to have had you in our lives. May you rest at the Lord's feet."
I think it's fair to say that many of us felt that Mama's final days were approaching. Although it's never easy when a loved one departs, I have to say that I'm somewhat happy about the way it ended, because I think the last thing he wanted was to endure a long and painful suffering towards his last days. So it was really, when I heard the news a couple of days ago, I said, okay, that was really the way I wanted. It was a sudden incident, and that's exactly the way he wanted to go. So I think God granted him his wish. He has lived a full life, and it's hard to sum up anybody's life in a few minutes and in a series of moments. But I would like to recall some aspects that make Mama special to me and to my family. He loved a good meal and a drink or two, especially in his early days. and he enjoyed life to the fullest. He cared for many in his family dearly, not only his immediate family, but also his extended family and friends. We all felt that we could go to him at any time for anything. For me personally, having lived away from my family for many years, I never had a hesitation in picking up the phone and calling him if there's something that's bothering me, and I knew that the advice I would get would be with the fullest caring for me, and I relied on that quite heavily. And for the younger ones that are in the family now, we always valued him as our mentor and our model. He had a deep interest in our lives, both personal and professional. Aruna, my wife, always talks about the times when he would come to her boarding school in Uti, where Brinda was studying as well. And he would bring them presents, take them out for a good meal, and give them a lot of considerable amount of pocket money, which actually wasn't allowed by the school, but he would give both of them quite a bit of pocket money before he left. So that's the kind of person he was. And we all heard about how hard he worked. So he worked very hard, earned a good living, but was very generous with what he had. Talking about work, he loved his work and was talking about retirement, but I knew he would never actually retire. And I couldn't imagine him sitting around at home in a retired lifestyle. So it was good that he worked until his final days. And as has been said already, we were all very proud of him receiving the Public Service Medal from the Australian government. It was good to see others appreciated his many attributes. The list goes on, and I'll stop here. So while we are all heartbroken today, and we'll miss him dearly, let us celebrate his life and be happy that he is in a better place. Thank you.
We will now have Ahalya, Mama's grandniece.
So my name's Ahalya, and Kambra Tata is how I call Kambra Tata. And he was, like everyone said today, the youngest in the family, and I'm the granddaughter of my amama, or Navamani, who passed away earlier this year. Now, I didn't have the privilege of going to a funeral and saying goodbye, and I feel very lucky that I can be here today, pay my respects to Kambra Tata, and be with our extended family so that we can all say goodbye together. Kambra Tata is called Kambra Tata because he lives in Canberra. And since I was 5, I've been very spoiled by Kunjaluma and all my other aunties and uncles because I was the only young girl and child in the family. Wherever I went, especially when I came to Kambra Tata's house, I would always get lots of chips, lots of cookies, and lots of sweets. And I was extremely spoiled for at least a long time. Now, Kambra Tata has always lived with Kambra Tati. And for a long time, they tried to make me say Pati or Apama or Amama, but it didn't make sense. Kambra Tata was the male version, so naturally Kambra Tati would be the female version. And even till today, I call Kambra Tati, Kambra Tati. Coming down to Canberra when I was young was always just an adventure, and it was always meant that we would have so much fun, and so much love was always had at Neil's place. Brindaka, Nuantiaka, and Deluaka would always spoil me. And it was always wonderful coming down. As I grew older and got more into education and got into medicine, my visits to Canberra slowed down, and Kambra Tata also knew that and was never happy. I remember one of our last conversations, I spoke to him about some of my doubts and challenges working in the hospital, and he said nothing good ever comes easy, and always encouraged me and said to persevere and pursue because that's how I'll get my reward. Other fun memories of Kambra Tata was that Naveen touched on it, but it's his laugh. And you could be chucking a tantrum as a child, you could be very grumpy, and if Kambra Tata started laughing in the room, you ended up laughing because he just was the entire room, and he was the entire space that you were in. And you could never be upset when he was there. I'm extremely blessed because I actually got married last month in Sydney. And I am blessed because Canberra Tata was there, and it was the happiest day of my life with my immediate family, my extended family. And we didn't think we'd all be here today, and I'm so grateful that the world works in the way it did and that we had this special time together. I remember when I was I was getting ready at home going to the temple, and I chose to wear my mother's sari that she wore for her wedding. And Canberra Tata and Tati came beforehand, and Canberra Tata saw me and got quite emotional because it was the first time that I looked like what I call now a manasi. And he started getting a bit teary. And it's those fond memories. He makes you at ease whenever you meet him, and he's someone without pretense, and you don't have to be anyone other than who you are. And Canberra Tata's departing is the second one of the elders who's left us this year, and it's been a very challenging time for everyone in our big family. But I don't really view his parting as sorrow, but as a time that we can discuss him, celebrate his life, his achievements, talk about his personality, the fact that he was someone who'll be dearly, dearly missed, cherish all the memories that we've all had with him. I think of today and the times to come as a celebration of love and celebrating his memory, talking about the funny stories, the silly stories, talking about all the times that you've had together, and remembering that that's what he would have wanted. He wouldn't want us to sit around and be sad. He'd want us to pick up, enjoy, and move on. Much as Canberra Tata was getting older, his passing was a shock to me. And I'm supposed to understand because I'm medical, but it was a complete shock to me, and I didn't believe it, and nor did my mum and dad. It'll take a while to sink in, I think, and I think being together with all of the family here, talking about him, sharing all these memories together helps with that passing, and this will bring us more closer than ever. And this year has been very trying for all of us, and I think being together is the only way that we can go through all of this. Finally, I do want to, Naveen touched on the fact that today is about legacy, and it really is. Canberra Tata is part of a generation that is unfortunately leaving much too early, and there's just too much to be said. He lived a life that's completely different to mine, and his experiences are completely different to mine. He, at a young age, was able to hold such a senior position and worked overseas in Africa from living in Sri Lanka, breaking barriers. He was helped by his uncle, and in turn he helped his nephew, and holds those values of not just helping your own immediate family, but your larger extended family. With Amama going and Canberra Tata going, my only sadness is I haven't spent more time with them, listening to their adventures, and making sure that we do remember all that they've done, all their achievements, all their teachings, the way they've lived their lives, so that we too can learn from what they've done and endeavour to do well by them and make them proud. During this time, I do want everyone to just have more stories about him, particularly because when Vasant grows up, and we laugh at the fact that Vasant wanted to grab the mic at Canberra Tata's funeral, but so that the kids know about him, and we have to make sure that we collate these memories and they don't go away with time that passes. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to say goodbye. It's not forever, it's just until the next story and the next moment that we share with him. Thank you.
Firstly, on behalf of my three sisters, I would like to thank everyone for coming to Dad's memorial service. There's so much memories of Dad that we all three have, but I think there are three quotations that came to my mind, and I will talk about those three. So the first one, I have to say the first two are from the Bhagavad Gita, and the last one is from Sai Baba's teachings that reflect on Dad. So the first one is, Dad, there's a saying in the Bhagavad Gita not to go behind the fruits of your actions. and Dad was an example of that. He was a very hard worker, a silent hard worker. He showed how to work hard and achieve the goals silently. He never boasted about what he achieved as well. And one major example has been in my career, in my studies. I was a failure at uni in accounting, but Dad actually sat with me on many nights for law assignments. He took the law book and actually read through it and helped me with the essays and everything. For a mechanical engineer to take that time to help the child go through life is very important as a parent. He showed me as a role model how to be a loving father, how to be a loving mentor as well. The other point is, in the Bhagavad Gita they say, by yourself, pull yourself up, because you're your own best friend and you're your own worst enemy. 2015 was major for us because we had my registration, Appa's award ceremony as well, and the shock of him having cancer. But he actually showed to all of us that do not be an enemy within yourself. Make yourself stronger. Even though he could not even accept it, he actually pulled the strength from within, and by himself he raised himself up to be very strong and accept that this is just the body. You are just the soul. This is only the body. The body has come. It has given birth and it has got some attachments to it. So let go of those attachments. Let the body do what it has to do, and it will go one day. He has never complained or been in pain or groaned, even though he sometimes wonders why he has this. And the last one for Appa that I feel that stands out, that represents Appa, is Swami's teaching or quotation. Appa was the embodiment of love. Love was his bond, truth was his breath, he was always truthful. So that's what I remember about my father.
I think as a daughter, every father remembers their father as a protector and as a provider. And that was Appa. But for me personally, over the last 17 years, Appa became more of a friend and an advisor. And for me personally, what I will miss is calling him up and saying, Appa, I'm coming to Canberra. And then that week that I'm due to come to Canberra, Wednesday there'll be a phone call, Thursday there'll be a phone call, Friday morning on the way there'll be a phone call, Epavara, what time are you coming? Shall I ask Amma to cook lunch for you? And then while I'm there, what I treasured the most was when Leela and Satish went upstairs, I had my own time with Amma and Appa. After some time, Amma would get tired. Amma would go to bed. And it was just me and Appa, talking freely, discussing anything and everything. He would discuss a lot of things that were on his mind. He would say, what should I do? I'm worried about Amma. But I know that in his heart he knew he had set her up in a good environment, good support system. There are a lot of incidents or memories I have of him, but there's too many. I can't choose one to share here today. But I must say that I will miss him, and the fact that you believe that a good education was enough of a foundation for your daughters is proof of what we are today. We'll miss you, Appa. Rest in peace.
I am the proud eldest daughter of Mr. Ponnampalam. A lot has been said this afternoon about my father. I do not want to repeat it all again. So I asked my children, his grandchildren, yesterday about their grandfather after the viewing, because that's the first time they had physically seen their grandfather. My daughter Sahana said she was sad and she would miss his funny jokes extremely when she goes after school to their house or any other time. Vasant, his grandson, I would say, who is the only boy in the family, was the closest and dearest to my father. When I asked him, so what happened to your grandfather? Where is he? He remembered what I told him on the very first day when he asked me, and he had been asking a few other people. He said back to me that Grandpa went to the sky and he was a star. After which he added that he was looking at us from the sky and joking with us. This was his memory of how my dad treated him. When my niece Leela, who is also here, when I asked her, she said, I'm extremely sad and will miss him. The most will be him giving us what we want for everything. The last part of my son's sentence for me portrayed his behavior with all his 3 grandchildren. They will remember him that way, the sweet, loving granddad who went off and did what they wanted and gave him what they wanted. For me, he was an ever-loving, giving father, a person who looked after our needs and loved us in whatever circumstances. Since we came to Canberra, this is the longest period that I've lived with him, as at a tender age I was in boarding school or living in London with his niece for my education. I valued the time. He found it hard to say no to us. My mother always said that I'm always the luckiest wife, as my father never said no to any of my mother's requests in their married life, 44 years. He had 3 girls and no sons, so he always treated his son-in-laws as they were his sons. I know that he was proud of all of them. In us, he instilled the principles of honesty, hard work, and persistence, and said that these 3 would let us achieve all the things we wanted to in life. Appa, your love, your patience, your understanding, your wisdom, and your amazing sense of humor will live on inside us forever. You have given us gifts that are more precious than anything in this world. Goodbye, Appa. You will not be with us, but your memories will always live on in our hearts.
Brindaka will also give a quick talk on behalf of Dr. George Gerges, who was Mama's GP for the past 24 years since his arrival in Australia, and who was also there during Mama's last moment.
My father had 2 very good doctors, so not only Dr. Gerges, but his cardiologist has also requested I say a few words. Dr. George was actually at the medical practice when my father passed away, and he's requested that I say a few words for him as he couldn't be here. I had the great pleasure of knowing Mr. Ponnampalam for many years. Although our relationship started in a professional forum, it very quickly grew into a friendship. It was a friendship that flourished because Mr. Ponnampalam possessed many characteristics which I myself value. I admired the devotion he had to his family. He was a devoted husband, father, and grandfather. In fact, he was a pillar of the family, which was extensive, spreading across the globe. His work ethic was second to none. Even at the ripe old age of 77, he remained in the workforce. I remember when he was awarded the Public Service Medal some 2 years ago. Whilst all of these things are remarkable, nothing is more remarkable than this fact. Not only did he achieve all of the above, not only did he display exemplary family values, he did it all while he was very ill. He was very ill for a long time, but it never got him down. He never gave in and fought till his last breath. His brave approach to life and everything he achieved is inspirational. He will be greatly missed by all that knew him. George Gervis. The other doctor that has asked me to read out on behalf of him is his cardiologist, Professor Ian Wilcox from Sydney. I'm sorry to receive a message that Saravana Muthu had passed away today. We met, as you know, in July 2007 when he came to see me for an opinion about his disabling angina. With diabetes and the diffuse coronary disease, his subsequent course of having 10 years without an acute coronary event was remarkably good, but we all knew that his prognosis from the heart point of view alone was guarded. When I think of Saravana Muthu, I think of a man of great grace, modesty, despite obviously being a man of immense ability who has made an extraordinary contribution to Australian life as recognised by the government. He lived for his work, as we all know, but took great pride in his family. We shall not see the like of him again. May I express my deepest condolences to you all.
The concluding remarks will be delivered by Satishanna and Sundaranna, Mama's sons-in-law.
Jai Sai Ram. First and foremost, we would deeply express our gratefulness to our community of Canberra who supported us during these difficult times and showing the sympathies, love and care for us. On behalf of the Ponnampalam family, we would like to thank the community members, few of the members of the community. The foremost goes to Dr. George Gervis for providing us the medical support, and Professor Wilcox, Dr. Brennavan, and William Cole Funeral. And the members of Tamil community, Canberra Tamil Association, and Tamil Engineering Association, senior citizens, and Orca Medical Center for providing the support in the last few days. I would like to share a couple of my thoughts about Mr. Uncle. He lived by simple rules, 3 simple rules. Excellent time management, dedication, and composure. He always says, go with the flow, the rest will follow itself. When he was awarded the Public Service Medal Award, I jokingly said to my uncle, someone at home deserves this award more than you, which is my aunt. We lovingly call as Atte. She's the one who deserves that award more than him. Today, we immensely miss his presence, me and Nilanthi. We always turn up to his advice whenever we have a very difficult situation. He guides us through. Once again, I thanks the community of Canberra for providing us all the support, love and care, please. Thank you.
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். திருவாளர் பொன்னம்பலம் அவர்களின் இறுதி கிரியைக்கு வருகை தந்திருக்கும் அனைவருக்கும் குடும்பத்தின் சார்பாக ஆழ்ந்த வணக்கங்களை கூறிக்கொள்கிறோம். நன்றி.
finally, thanks for all of you coming to making this the last journey of Uncle Ponna as a memorable. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I will now call upon the people who want to pay their respects by offering flowers to my uncle. After you all finish offering the flowers, there is a final rites to be conducted, so it will be done in the conclusion of offering flowers. And after all the ceremony, then there are refreshments available.
Yeah.
They have to come in bed, no?
Nadi
முடிச்சு அப்போ ட்ராப் பண்ணுறோம். இது யார் ஹேண்ட்பேக் இது? யார் ஹேண்ட்பேக் இதில் இதில் ஆன்டிடு மெல்பன் ஆன்டிடு.
That's it. That's it? Yep, that's it. They're going to go downstairs, some of them, for the coffin to be placed into the cremator.
Okay.
But there's refreshments in the room here, directly alongside there. They will be available now.
Okay. I don't know. Immediate families are going downstairs. Yes, sir. Just to push it inside, but I don't know whether we just for family functions. I don't know whether should I broadcast this as well or not.
I'll go over there with them.
இது பாட்காஸ்ட் பண்ணணும் அது கீழே போய் பாஸ் பண்ணிங்க ஸ்டாப் பண்ணுங்க டைம் இருக்குல்ல அதை நான் 5 நிமிஷம் எடுத்துக்கலாம் போகிறேன் கீழே போயிட்டு வந்துடுறேன்.